thank you for taking time to do this. I was like, this is great. I haven't seen Wayne in, let's just say, 30-something years, a long time.
30 plus years, buddy. It's been a long,
right?
Yeah,
long time. So I was really psyched to connect and hang out and chat with you for a little bit.
Absolutely.
So, how long have you been in Jersey now? So give me a little synopsis of how long you've been in Jersey, like New York, New Jersey
Well,
area.
New Jersey has been 10 years. I lived in apartments for 24 years. When I got married in 1997, we moved up to Enwood, the northernmost part of Manhattan. Big apartment, cheap rent, it was beautiful. But we just had really noisy neighbors for a long time. Like we were just dealing with people downstairs. Well, actually, the person downstairs is Eric Hubner. He plays piano with the New York Phil now. That was never a problem, hearing him practice Petrushka and
right.
all the piano stuff. I was like, oh, I know what he's practicing. Oh, that's this. That's, that's
Sure.
Shostakovich one, but we had neighbors upstairs with like really noisy kids and crying babies. It was crazy, the noise we were dealing with. And I played trumpet. So it was like, so we had a point where we needed privacy. We went out and we wanted New Jersey because our parents live in New Jersey and it's cool to have relatives come by and watch, do whatever. So we found Teaneck, a beautiful tree-lined street, African-American neighborhood, gorgeous, and Teaneck's half Jewish. You go over the tracks, it's Jewish. It's hilarious. And then, every nationality is in Teaneck and it's absolutely beautiful.
How far outside of New York is that? Like how far outside the city?
It's like when you go over the GW Bridge, you have Fort Lee, Englewood, Teaneck. It's like the third town in. It's super convenient. Even if you take the bus, you go right to Port Authority. You're right in Broadway show area. It's perfect. We have an express bus from where we are. So, and it's beautiful, man. It's just lots of trees, lots of grass, happy people. It's beautiful.
Sure. I mean, I'm in DC. I'm in the DC area, and for 16, 17 years or whatever, I was living in town in DC, living that sort of urban existence and loving it. It was great. I mean, there's trade-offs with anything, right? There's loud weekend nights.
There's quiet though, man. It was noisy. We lived on Broadway.
Sure.
It was like, it didn't bother us at the time, but we were just like, at some point, we need some peace and quiet. And we just went out, found the house, and we got it.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. And I like the quiet, and I can make the noise when I want to make the noise from a drumming perspective, and I don't bother anybody, and nobody bothers me. So,
correct.
That works out well. But so all right, so you're in New Jersey, you're commuting into town. I'm thinking like this is pre-COVID-19. You're commuting into the city when you need to for gigs and educational things and all that kind of stuff, I assume, right? Is that part of your daily routine?
I moved here in 86 to go to Juilliard. I've been here since 1986. So I guess that's 34 years. So yeah, lots of Broadway shows. It's a long story, man. There's so much that went on. I mean, I guess your question is, what was your question? I mean,
so I'm wondering, like pre-COVID-19,
right? Yeah.
Give me an idea of what a day in the life of Wayne would be like, living in Teaneck, and with your commitments in town.
At NYU. That's been a blast. Just because knowing a lot of musicians and knowing a lot of people who do all kinds of amazing things, I can get them to come to NYU and just give a class and talk to my students and give them the knowledge that they need. I love that. So setting up all the NYU stuff, it's a super challenge because it's, I have an office and it's just a lot of information that gets thrown at you and emails and it's nonstop. But it's absolutely incredible to be in charge of students' lives and to make sure that they're getting the education that they need to get if they're going to go to NYU. And it's absolutely fun. And I know they're getting it and they're enjoying it. They're smiling. They're playing their asses off at concerts, playing Beethoven, playing Sibelius, playing Gershwin, playing everything you could possibly imagine. It's fun to conduct them. So now I conduct. So it's like I get, it's an incredible experience to look at a score and like, there it is, and dictate it to the orchestra and bring it to life and make everyone happy, and do it the right way. And it's beautiful, man. So, been in New York for a long time, went there to go to Juilliard, and been here ever since.
So something that struck me that when you were sharing some of that with me is I'm curious about how, if you recall, what you were thinking and feeling when you went off to school at 18 or 19 or whatever age you were. You went off to Juilliard and did your thing, and presumably came out successfully the other side and found your way into the working world and all that kind of stuff. But I'm wondering if you remember that experience enough to the point where you can apply how you felt about that at the time to your educational pursuits now with students that are coming up now.
Absolutely. But I was 21 when I moved to New York.
Okay.
Basically, I grew up, I'm not sure if you even know this, I grew up as a concert pianist.
I didn't know that.
No, my dad had us all playing,
Wow.
piano, classical piano. And so I started at age 6 until I was like 18. I practiced piano probably 2 hours a day on the average.
I had no idea. I didn't know that at all.
I was learning the works of Beethoven, Brahms from piano, Samuel Barber, Mozart, all that crazy sonata stuff. I was playing that stuff as a kid. And trumpet just came because I heard Louis Armstrong and Dizzy Gillespie play on TV once. It's like, Dad, I want a trumpet. And he tried to get me to play an oboe. And I'm like, I don't even know what an oboe is. But in any case, I started playing trumpet, and that was something I chose. But I grew up playing piano, doing piano competitions, recitals. It was crazy, dude. So when I was in high school, it wasn't until I auditioned for the St. Louis Symphony Youth Orchestra that really awakened my knowledge and just knowing that I was going to be a musician. The first day I had a rehearsal with St. Louis Symphony Youth Orchestra, Leonard Slacken was conducting Intimate Symphonic Metamorphosis.
Wow.
And I practiced it, and I'm playing it, and he gave me the hand. He fucking gave me the hand. I was like, oh my God, Leonard Slacken.
The hand.
I was playing too loud. It was like the greatest thing
Wow.
ever. And for some reason, I just understood what that was and just rolled with it. It was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to play classical trumpet in an orchestra. And it was, make a long story short, I wasted a year at SIU Edwardsville. But I transferred to St. Louis Conservatory to study with Gary Smith and Susan Slaughter in the St. Louis Symphony for 2 years at St. Louis Conservatory, right in U City. This is my hometown. I was living at home.
Remember that well.
Great school. Every symphony musician taught there. Henry Lowe, the bassist, the clarinetist George Silfies, amazing human being and teacher. And it was just the right place to be for 2 years, man. There was never a moment where I was like, it was like, this is where I want to be. We played Petrushka. We had rep classes with Roland Pandolfi. He was like leading classes. Richard Holmes, the timpanist, was like conducting our orchestra.
I remember Richard Holmes very well.
Oh man, it was amazing 2 years, incredible 2 years. I learned so much, listening to Mahler, Shostakovich, Bruckner, everything. It was just like all there. And then Winton came to St. Louis, and Sue Slaughter's like, oh, I want to play a master class. I want to set up a master class. You want to play for Winton? I didn't know who he was. He was just getting his career started. He had a big fro, and he's playing Haydn and then doing jazz stuff and going nuts. So I played at a master class of his that Sue Slaughter, principal trumpet player of the St. Louis Symphony, set up. Played for him, and he took me under his wing. He's like, I was hanging out at his hotel. We were talking for hours. And I said to him, I want to be a successful trumpet player. What should I do? And he's like, go to New York, go to Juilliard, surround yourself with the epicenter of everything that's going on in the arts, museums, jazz, everything that's going on, just go there. And I was just like, oh, and that was the best advice anyone had ever given me in my entire life. It's like, oh, and I still living at home. My dad was abusive. I was living in fear of him. It was just like, bull, and I was just finally feeling like I need to get the hell out of here. And Winton told me that. So basically, I called Juilliard the next day because you can't go online and just have it mailed. There's no online. You call them, they mail you the booklet with the audition materials on it, and practice the same thing, Mahler 5, Petrushka, and set up the audition where I could play it with my hands tied behind my back.
So they told you what to play for the audition? They chose what to play?
They say, 3 orchestral excerpts, 2 etudes, contrasting etudes, 2 solo pieces, contrasting.
Gotcha.
So you choose what you want to play. But once he
Right.
told me that, and the catalog came, I knew exactly. I wrote down what I was going to do, and I practiced it for 5 months with, you know, like ready to go. So, but that
Sure.
was the best advice anyone's ever given me, was Wayne.
So what advice, so I'll preface this question with a statement, or I'll share something with you too. So I too went through a music program, and it was a wonderful experience, and it opened my eyes to a world that I didn't know existed, but I had a hunch did, and I was thrilled to be able to be a part of that. And it was a huge learning and growth experience for me. It was wonderful. However, after I finished that program, I recalled shortly after thinking to myself, you know, that was an amazing little bubble, little enclave that I was just living in for 4 years, and it was wonderful. Nobody really prepared me for what to do afterwards. And this was like in the 90s. This is pre
Right.
like streaming music services and internet and all that kind of jazz that took over our lives. It has taken over our lives now. So that was
Right.
then. And I still didn't know the answer to that question for myself. Well, how do I parlay this into what my next chapter is? How did that work for you?
I was just super determined, just to be successful when I moved to New York. So, so I get into Juilliard. I'm leaving a shitload out, man. I'm leaving a lot out. But I got to Juilliard, and I'm sitting in my apartment looking out on the street of Columbus Avenue, 68th Street. It was like 2 blocks of Juilliard. And I'm thinking to myself, and I don't know what made me do this, but I got out a sheet of paper and a pen. It's like, what do I need to do to be successful? I don't know what made me do that. But so number one was practice every day. And I would like do a 1A, 1B, like find a practice room that's big. Number two, be there every morning at 7 a.m. All right. So that was the first one, practice every day. Second one was find gigs, find places to play. And I remember like taking a subway to Manhattan School and seeing on the bulletin board, New York Youth Symphony auditions, you know, and I'm like, oh, took the number down, auditioned, got into New York Youth Symphony, and was playing at Carnegie Hall like 2 months into being in New York City. I'm playing Berlioz Symphony Fantastique just from doing that, going to Manus and seeing like there's this orchestra called Hunter College Symphony, just dude, full speed ahead, finding gigs to do. So, and you know, the third one was like, surround yourself with people and do summer music festivals every year, because I had just done Aspen before going to Juilliard, and I met so many amazing musicians. Do the summer festivals, man. That was like, and it was on my list. Number 4 was like, don't date anybody, but I failed miserably with that one. That didn't work so well. But so I was determined. And made sure that every day I was practicing at 7 a.m. before any Juilliard orchestra rehearsals and doing my thing. The second year into Juilliard, this dude walks up to me one day, Joe Levinsky, this French horn player, says, hey, would you like to play on Broadway? And I was there to get an orchestral job. I didn't even know really what that was. It's like, sure. I said, yes, I would love to play on Broadway. And he gave me the name and number of Wilmer Wise, this amazing African-American trumpet player who had been freelancing in New York City for many years, auditioned for orchestras, and they told him, we can't hire you because you're black.
What?
Know? Yeah, dude, this goes back to, 60s, early 70s, you would win gigs in Texas, Midland, Texas or somewhere, and they would be like, nope, can't hire you. So anyway, he hooked me up, and this guy, Joe Levinsky, I started subbing for Wilmer. It was Into the Woods, a one trumpet book show, and he gave me the tape and the music, said learning music. I came in, played the show, and suddenly I was subbing on Broadway my second year at Juilliard and collecting a paycheck and making money. I'm like, oh nice. Shit, this is nice, this is cool. And from subbing on Broadway, other gigs started to happen, and Wilmer hooked me up with Brooklyn Philharmonic and different orchestras in town and gigs, and I was working and freelancing as a Juilliard student. Which was cool, but I was still like, I'm going to get an orchestral job. I want to get an orchestral job. I was still like on that whole thing. And then I won a 1-year position with the Met Opera, my last year at Juilliard, 1990. Won a 1-year position with the Met Opera. Oh my God, it was awesome playing Wagner, Parsifal, 5.5-hour operas, doing La Boheme. So it was just a matter of people just sort of getting my name out, playing well, sounding good, and people just, and that's what I do today. When I play a gig with someone who I've never played with, I hook them up. I give them gigs. If someone calls me and I can't do something, I give them their number and get them going. It's amazing, and I learned that from people doing that for me. The people that are prepared, show up, sound great, are determined, and want to be there and keep their mouths shut are the ones that are going to work in town and, you know, show up and play well and like, okay, let's get you some gigs, you know.
When you were at Juilliard, was there ever a moment or moments where you thought, I'm curious how this is going to pan out. Maybe I should consider a plan B, or
No,
ever those kinds of moments?
never believed in a plan B. People ask me that question a lot. They're like, did you have a plan B? I was like, no, I didn't move to New York to do anything other than to play the trumpet and get a symphony job and play with the orchestras. You know, that was, I was afraid of a plan B, because if I had a plan B, then it would I would end up doing that. That was,
right.
You know, I would end up doing that. Hold on, Mike. What's up?
Oh, sure.
Okay, Colin, this is Enzo.
Enzo,
Say
how's
hello.
it going, dude? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, he's
What's
good.
going on? Hey, Enzo, how old are you? You look like, I'm gonna guess maybe 6, 5, 6? 4. Okay, 4. Well, it's nice to meet you, Enzo. It's possible that I might have seen a photo of you maybe once or twice on social media, but you're much better looking in real time than in photos. So it's nice to see you.
Yeah, he's in a good mood. He's happening. He's reading now. He's getting so much smarter, man. It's amazing to watch him grow.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, there's a cell phone, and that's the drag, man. Oh my God, the cell phone. I keep thinking, you know, I'm 54, and when I was a kid, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, we didn't have all these books and TV. You know, that was what we had. Now it's like this kid can like navigate a remote control like you wouldn't believe, and he's 4 years old. I'm like, dude, how do you, you know?
Yeah. Is Enzo a music appreciator, or we don't know that yet?
Yeah, he's totally a dancer. He plays drums. You know, he's just.
That's drums.
You want to go play some drums?
No,
drums.
Yeah, he's
cool.
No, not drums. Sequoia, our 9-year-old, is the violinist, gymnast, dancer. She did the Nutcracker last year. She's doing ballet. It's beautiful to watch.
Very talented young lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
All right, you're out of here? All right, here's my daughter, Sequoia.
Hi, Sequoia. How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you. It looks like you. Oh, hi there.
That's my wife, Sharon.
Hi.
Hey, Sharon. I'm Colin. How are you?
We're all here in the same office. Colin went to high school, UC High School with us.
Oh,
it's all St. Louis tonight.
Yeah. This is like a U City kind of connection we've got going here.
No, I told her to come in and say hello at some point.
Oh,
just like
cool,
I told you.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's all
hey,
good.
are you guys getting enough time together now with all this social distancing?
Right, what kind of question is that, man? Are you
Right.
serious?
I know.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, seriously. On Saturdays, for the past basically 20 years, I've never been home. Show at 2, show at 8, Sunday at 3. And for 10 weeks, I've been home on Saturdays. Like sitting in my backyard with my feet up, looking at the trees and the wind blowing. I'm like, wow, it's Saturday at home. You know, those kind of things. Never been home. And I've been home now for, actually, I said 10 weeks. It's probably more like 14 weeks now. God, the time is. So yeah, it's been incredible to be home with the family 24/7, you know.
When did you first realize or kind of get the word that things were really kind of shutting down and this was going to go on a while for you?
Well, it all happened really quickly. In March, I had a concert with the American Symphony Orchestra. Jason Marsalis was playing. It was an amazing concert that was, you know, and we were going to play at Carnegie Hall. And then I was doing a thing with American Composers Orchestra with up and coming young composers. And we read through these things at Columbia University. And there was something else I was doing all at once, like all these amazing gigs. And then Carnegie Hall said, we're done through the end of March, which cut out our ASO concert. And then the ACO concert, we did the readings. They were just readings, but they didn't have an audience there. It was like March 12th and 13th. And we were like, wow, okay, this is only going to last for a couple of weeks. We'll be back in, April. And that's what everyone was thinking. So they did shut down everything we did. We got paid for those gigs that we didn't pay, which is really nice. It's like,
okay.
Thank you. They have the
Yeah.
money sitting there. So, so that we got paid for all the concerts that were canceled in the month of March. So that worked out to our advantage. But, now, oh my God, they've shut down the Metropolitan Opera. So I won't be doing anything there until January. If they have something that, that I'm programmed in. Broadway's still technically closed until Labor Day. I was asked to play Music Man, which rehearsals start August 30th with Hugh Jackman. But
okay.
nothing has changed. We're like kind of just waiting to see what's going to happen. But groups are now starting to cancel things to the beginning of next year, which one group does it and then everyone else does it. It's basically,
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But man, there's nothing music. I haven't been performing anywhere, and I probably won't for quite some time. I teach at NYU and at Elizabeth Morrow School, which, thank God, is plenty. But I miss the performance. I've been playing stuff on Facebook, Rush tunes on the Rush web pages, and people are going nuts. It's hilarious, man. Like I played Natural Science, like a little video. You know that one? The
I don't know if I do know that one, but
it's a great Rush tune.
it sounds like it's in 7/8 or 9/8 or something.
A lot of 7/8 Neil Peart, like just
Right.
ripping through it. Beautiful, man. But I played it on
man.
trumpet, and people were going nuts, right? So then I posted on my own Facebook page, and nobody knows what it is. It's so hilarious.
Sure.
Nobody really knows Rush. Like
That's funny.
billions of fans that do. It's so weird. There's no in between.
That's funny.
You know who Rush is, and you totally love him, or you not a clue.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm missing, well, even just not even from a musical perspective, just from a general social interaction perspective, I like many people, and most of us are out there missing that kind of connection. I just had some people over to my house over the weekend in the backyard only, which was
right, yeah.
the first time I've seen anybody like kind of a friend kind of person since we started this whole routine. It was really nice to hang out with them.
It's a long time to be by yourself, right?
Yeah, it's been very strange. I have enjoyed your Beer with Trumpet postings. I was curious how that came about and what made you decide to do that.
Well, my daughter was probably like 4 or 5 years old, and she was watching YouTube, and she's watching these things where some dude was opening an egg, and there was prizes in it, and it said 4 million likes. And I'm like, oh, that dude's making a lot of money on YouTube opening eggs. Wow. So I thought to myself, I love beer, and every time I basically try beer, it's something I've never had before. I rarely repeat, so it's always something new. Why not just do a show on YouTube and see how many people I can get and make some money? So I started this show called Wayne DuMaine's Beer Course with Trumpet, where I open a beer that I've never had and sniff it, talk about what I'm getting from the nose, drink it, talk about what I'm getting from the taste, and then play a little trumpet at the end of the show. I don't know what made me do it, but other than like it was cool. And it's been fun. I've done about 50 shows in like 3 years. Done a lot of shows, but it hasn't taken off because people my age, are not on YouTube all the time. It's kids that are on YouTube, not adults. So, I have a subscription page on YouTube. I do that. I sing. I do some Elton John tunes, on piano. It's kind of interesting. Tornado videos. Love those, but it's interesting. So it's just a fun show. And I'm on Facebook. I'm members of some of these beer groups. So I do them for them, and they love it. They're like totally into it. So it's fun, man. A little bit of trumpet. You do a Super Bowl show. You do like a World Series show. It's
kind of
fun.
A theme. Working a theme
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
Did you do one did you do a hockey themed one last year when the Blues won the cup?
I did not. I was just posting a lot of me just saying, come on, Blues, let's do it. Let's win the Stanley Cup. Okay. I'm 53. Let's do it. I've been watching you guys lose in the playoffs for 39 seasons. You're always great. You get into the playoffs and you lose first round, second round every year. Let's just do it. Actually did it. They listened to me.
Yeah,
It was,
I
it
know
was
all about that. You know, I still follow the blues and have
right.
ever since I moved away. And then when I moved here to DC, I started following the Capitals, and I've been following them closely for 20 years, and they finally won it too. So I know that
Right.
feeling.
Yeah, I was always in the teams that have won a Stanley Cup that have never won it before. You know, I'm always like, you haven't won one before? Congratulations. The Nationals, when they won, I was like, you know what? They've never won one. Good for them. You know,
Sure. I was
it was
rooting for the Cubbies, right? When the Cubbies won the series, whatever that
no,
was, two
not me.
or three.
I don't root for the
No,
Cubs.
I mean, I had to do it. I was like, it's been,
Nope.
they had to lift the curse.
Yeah, but they were playing Cleveland. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So it was like, come on, Cleveland. You guys haven't won for a long time, like in the 50s or something. But I was totally into Cleveland. And I had a really good friend who hardcore Cleveland Indian fan. I was like, nope,
Sure.
I can't go. I can't. But anyway.
So back on the musical front, give me an example of a performance or some kind of interaction or experience that you've done. And I know you've had plenty. I've seen some of them posted, all of which look really interesting and fascinating. Give me an example of a playing experience or encounter that has stuck with you as something you'll either never forget, or something that was so important to you it kind of shaped you, or was a really formative experience that you're like, man, I can't believe I actually did that. Was that a dream?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, that happened when I graduated from UCI. I was a senior, and the St. Louis Symphony Youth Orchestra was going to Europe. They were going to Austria and Germany, and our UCI high school jazz band was going to Paris and Switzerland, basically the same time. And I really wasn't sure what I was getting into, but the bottom line was we played Dvorak Eighth and St. Louis Blues March with an orchestra, and it was in Stuttgart, Germany. And the audience was clapping. They were clapping in unison after the pieces, and we played an encore. And I was like, okay, the trumpet is taking me to Europe, and these people want to hear us play. This is what it's all about. You know,
Not bad, pretty good.
I want to be a performer. This is what I do. I want to like make
Yeah.
people happy. And that's what like really lit me up. I was like, wow, you know, because whatever. We always hear about the States not really being appreciative, and you go to Europe and but you know, that was the first time I'd played a concert ever, and the audience was just going nuts. Like really,
Wow.
you know, we just played Dvorak and played the St. Louis Blues, and they went absolutely bananas. We did it in Salzburg,
Cool.
Austria. We did it in Karlsruhe, Germany. We did it in Munich, and it was amazing. And that's what was like. That just sent me off. And you know, I played with Leonard Bernstein. We did a Copeland's Third with Leonard Bernstein in 1990 at Tanglewood. That was pretty amazing. Copeland's Third Symphony is like crazy.
Wow.
And we were supposed to go to Europe, but he got sick and canceled the trip. We were like, we had a 2-week European trip with Bernstein, and he got sick. And canceled it, and then proceeded to pass away like 2 months later. But that was an amazing concert. And then playing with Prince was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I saw a post that you shared about that experience a little bit, and I was thinking about that, and I'm thinking to myself, on the one hand, of course Wayne would play with Prince. Like Wayne's a badass, and Prince is a badass, and of course their paths will cross at some point somehow, even if it's for a brief period of time or whatever. But then I thought, wait a second, nobody gets to like. Everybody would love to play with Prince, or even meet the dude, much less hang out with him and play with him, or stay at his house or whatever. Tell me, give me one little juicy snippet of what that actually felt like.
Well, here's how it happened. I went to a wedding with a friend in Pennsylvania, and they had this funk band playing, and he sounded awesome. And I went up to the guy, drum, like, hey man, you guys sound great. It's like, yeah. And we started talking. He's like, well, you know, we play in the Village. We play in a Prince cover band. We play all Prince's. Like, well, and I looked at him and was like, well, I know every Prince tune. It was really funny. So I started playing with this band, like 1 a.m. gigs, midnight gigs in the Village. I'm like, 1 a.m., really? Wow. But it was fun. We all knew the tunes. We would just call off a tune and scream and holler and dance and shout. And we had a really big audience. We had a following. And then like 2 years into it, this one guy shows up and says, hey, I just played with Prince. He might need a trumpeter. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, right. Sure.
No, I wouldn't be interested. Come on.
And I gave him my number, and I'm like,
I'm busy. I can't make it. Tell Prince I'm not coming.
I didn't believe him when he said it to me. I was like, what? Whatever, dude. But I gave him my number, and then like a couple months later, Prince's agent called me. Said, would you like to come up to Paisley Park? And, and I'm like, play with Prince. I'm like, yes. And so, we went up, and it was crazy, man. It was like, he didn't really ever tell us what we were doing. You just showed up, and he's like, Prince wants you to rehearse. So we go into Paisley Park, and there's his purple motorcycle from Purple Rain and the Cadillac from the Alphabet Street video, and you're on stage. He has this indoor stage concert area in his home. It's huge. Sure. Big stage, and like
a rehearsal facility kind of size thing.
But it's like an auditorium in his house. Yeah. Not like a classical thing with wood, but it's just a big freaking space.
Right.
And we rehearsed for 6 hours. He's feeding us horn lines. And thank God I bought music with manuscript because I started writing it down. It's like, there's no way I'm going to remember this. But he never told us what we were doing or why we were doing it. Who knows? But 6 hours, man. So we get back to the hotel. It's like 11 p.m. We get a call at midnight saying, Prince wants you to come back to the studio and record. So we go back to the studio, and he picks 3 tunes that we knew. And thank God I wrote out horn charts for 2 of them because I'd never heard of the tunes before. One was I Like Funky Music, and the other one's When You Love Somebody. And the other one's Come On. But to make a long story short, whatever we laid down, just obviously he didn't pick it. So, oh, my daughter's screaming. She's having a good time. Okay. He calls it impromptu concert at 1 a.m. Are you okay? So go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Prince calls an impromptu concert at 1 a.m. on our 3rd day, and there's a line a mile long to go to Paisley Park. And we play the concert, we're playing, and it's absolutely amazing. He's looking at us, giving us cues, and, they're doing all the stuff, and just calling off tunes. We just happen to know them from rehearsing for almost 12 hours the 2 days before that, and then the recording session. It was crazy. So we're playing a concert. Concert's over. It's like 4 a.m. He looks at me and he says, are you going to stay? And I'm like, no, I can't stay. I just got married. I just got my first Broadway show. It's Titanic. I can't do it. And so about a year later, I go into Tower Records, and there it is, the new Prince album, New Power Soul. And I just remember grabbing the CD and opening it in the store. I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to buy this. And they go, I want to see, what it is. And there it was. On the tune When You Love Somebody, he put our names on it. Me, Pierre Andre, who was a sax player who hired us, and Clark Gate. Used one of the tunes.
Awesome.
There it was.
That's cool.
And I was like, okay, good. Someone can shoot me dead. I'll be fine. I'm happy. I've done, it was like one of those moments where I was like, okay, there it is. When You Love Somebody, my name's on it. I was like, thank God. I love Prince.
Which album was it called? What was the album?
It's called New Power Soul. It was one of the first
Soul.
recordings he just did all online, but released a few amount in the stores. And it was like, he was going through that period of breaking away from Warner Brothers.
Oh, sure.
They wouldn't let him release the massive amount of music that he had.
Right.
So, but in any case, that was, and I had a conversation with him about Gustav Mahler. He introduced me to Kale. He had this garden. He fed us from his garden. It was like this amazing experience for 3 days. Just 3 days.
How many wardrobe changes in that period of time?
Well, he was in full regalia 24/7. Even if it was rehearsal at noon, you'd think he'd be in a t-shirt and jeans. He's like, nope. He's in the high heels.
A jumpsuit or something?
Jumpsuit, absolutely. Full makeup, regalia, full regalia. It was amazing.
Good for he was living. He was being himself and living the dream. Forget
forget
everybody else.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Cool.
It was incredible, man. It's like a major highlight.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome. So, just to steer things back to, even though I would love to live in Prince's world even for a second, even if he were still around, unfortunately, but let's steering it back to our current reality, which is considerably less interesting. Give me an idea of what's going on with your brass program at NYU. I know there's some stuff happening this summer. Is there still a summer program happening? And what is—
Absolutely. There's going to be a great online brass summer workshop. We usually have students come to NYU from all over, and they stay in New York City for a week. We take them to a Broadway show. We take them to concerts. We do brass quartet coachings. And then we give a big concert. We have guest artists come in. But this year it's online, and we have the Meridian Arts Ensemble joining the Manhattan Brass this year.
Okay. And
there's going to be 2 master classes per day between July 6th and 10th on different subjects. Mine is mastering sight reading. It's a different subject every day, two subjects a day, just ripping through what you need to be successful. Our trombone player is doing one called What Now? What's next?
Okay.
You know, so it's like going to be incredibly informative, and it's going to be awesome. But so at NYU's kind of back and forth. There's only been a few universities that have shut down and said we're doing all online until, you know, January 1st. So nobody's really jumping on board yet. So we're assuming we're going to be back. They're trying to set up a system where students can be in a practice room with headphones, Wi-Fi, and be able to rehearse through the Ethernet with people in different rooms.
Okay.
We're talking about plexiglass. We're talking about a whole bunch of different, you know, ways to keep the school going. So it's a challenge for everybody, but we're staying on top of it. You know, we'll see what happens. But right now, we don't think there's going to be a full orchestra sitting together. But if we can figure out a way to, you know, maybe do plexiglass, we can do it. You know, but you have to test. You have to make sure the students are being tested. You know, it's like a whole ridiculous amount of information that's being talked about and on the table and being discussed. It's crazy.
How many years has this program been going on, by the way? Is this like has it been like
NYU?
I
took over as the head of the brass program in 2017. So it's been 3 summers for me. This will be the 4th summer. And the 4th year, I'll be starting as the head of the brass program. So it's been awesome, you know. As I mentioned, I conduct the orchestras. We have a brass choir. We do chamber music. They play an orchestra. And I hire a lot of, we have a serious brass master class program. You know, we had Sergei Nakaryakov come in from Russia last year and come do a, you know, it's amazing. We have Principal Horn and Philadelphia Orchestra, Jen Montone. We have Julie Landsman, former horn player at the Met Opera. We have, it's just ridiculous the amount of people that come in. And people that just aren't all orchestra, it's not all orchestra, it's people that are successful in the business now, chamber musicians, people who went to school and left school and started their own band. You know, I know a lot of people and get them to talk to the students to understand that they can do whatever the hell they want, you know. And as opposed to just listening to the phone ring, you know, wait for the phone ring.
Sure. People can still enroll, right? You can enroll up until some particular
for the
date?
brass workshop, today was the deadline. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah. So we may extend it. We'll see what happens, but I don't know how soon this is gonna be available, but yeah, we're looking to just get like 3 more people.
Sure.
So.
Gotcha. Well, I obviously wish that success. I wish success for any up and coming musicians that want to try and improve their skills and just learn something new, or just continue to be exposed to new music and new teaching methods, whatever it is. So I'm sure you're doing an amazing job with all that.
It's fun. It's so much fun. Just to expose them to what happens in a freelance world, in a real world, and just have hands-on experience with people coming in and just telling them exactly, here's what's happening. Here's how it's going to work for you. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, you got your trumpet handy? You want to play something real quick before we sign off?
Yeah, sure. I could play a little old Duke Ellington.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Red
Love
Party
it.
Blues. Goes way back. Yeah.
Love it. Do you ever get compliments from your neighbors? Do they hear you practicing?
They hear me practice now. I haven't been practicing in my home at all. I just practice at NYU, at Juilliard, the Met. I practice at other places, but now I have no choice. But
Right.
when I walk my kids around the block, people are like, "Are you the trumpet player? Are you the trumpet player?" It's hilarious. I'm like, "Yeah." And it's like, "I love it." And they're like 8 houses north of me. I'm like, "Ooh, Jesus, maybe I should close the windows."
Wow.
Or just be aware of, like, you know, whether the windows are open or not.
You're projecting. You're good projection.
Well, you know, I'm practicing a lot of opera and orchestral music. I'm always practicing it. I have to keep my chops at a level where I want it to be, and there might be a Met opening soon, so I'm gonna, you know, audition for it and see what happens.
Sure. Cool. Sounds good. Well, Wayne, I could talk to you for like 5 hours.
Yeah, I didn't even touch on anything. You know,
No. This has been fantastic. We could talk forever and ever, but in the spirit of brevity, and as you said, it seems like maybe younger folks may not be quite so in tune with maybe they're into TikTok these days, TikTok and Snapchat and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
you know,
9-year-olds. Oh my God, this stuff drives me nuts.
But anyway, thank you so much for taking some time to hang out and talk and connect a little bit.
Go Blues.
Go Blues. You know, if hockey starts back up, I'll root for the Blues. I'll also root for the Caps, you know, but I'll do with any sports right now. I'm a little desperate.
I know, it's crazy. We really miss it. Really miss baseball.
Yeah.
All right, Colin, U City. Always, man.
U City. I try and stay in touch with as many U City folks as I can.
Oh, hell yeah.
I hope you do too. U City is an awesome place. I can't believe
I was supposed to play with the University City Community Band this weekend, but they canceled it obviously months ago. But I would have been in St. Louis last weekend, you know, with the family, and we did it last year. It's beautiful. People show up to Heman Park for live music.
Sure.
It's beautiful. They were like,
that's cool. Well, I owe my sister. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a lot of people, man. It's packed.
Okay. I owe my sister a visit who's still out there, but you know, I'm a little scared to travel these days with everything that's going on, but I'll get back out there soon.
Right. Absolutely.
Anyway,
all right.
Be well, Wayne. Good to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too.
Take care.